welcome to a special edition of Mysteries of the Superstition Mountains. I always say it's special, and I feel that it is, but this one is a little bit different. I'm here with Larry Hedrick today, and we decided we're just going to comment on some of the comments that we get about shows. Larry, another question that we get from time to time is, why are we doing this? Why are we going up there and doing this? I mean, you must be getting paid the big bucks to do this, you know. Yeah, they're about this big, and they have Dave's picture on it. I have no idea where we can spend that. I tried, and it, you know, at Walmart, and it didn't work. My gosh, we've got ants all over the place here. But anyway, why do we do it? Well, my answer, and then you can answer this, is we do it because we love it, and we feel there's a lot of things to talk about other than Jacob Waltz, and I think we've proven that in the mountains. Dave and I always say 1991, but it would have been thereabouts, the late 80s or the early 90s. And we were working at a production house where we didn't have the wherewithal to get up there to do this because basically they didn't want us to. So anytime we went up there, it was just, you know, because we wanted to. We didn't shoot it or anything. And then Dave called me about 3 years ago, Dave, was it? About 3 years ago, and he said, let's do the show now. And great, let's do it. And because of people like yourself, we were able to get some really good topics, and you helped us a great deal, and we asked you on board as a producer and on the show. But we do it for the love of it. Of course, you know, if you get something off of it, that helps, but we just do it for the love of it. I mean, we love to show what there is to look at and the do's and don'ts about going up there. And so that's all I can say is we find it fascinating, and we hope you do as well. Do we plan on finding the Dutchman's gold? That's what they ask. Are you looking for the Dutchman's gold? No, we're not. Not in any way, shape, or form are we looking for anybody's gold. If we found it, that'd be great. But we're not. And we don't intend to. We just report. I'm gonna copy somebody else. We report, you decide. And so what do you have to say about that?
Well, you know, I hadn't paid much thought to my involvement in the mountains over the years until you had interviewed Hank Schieffer, I believe it was, and he put you on to me. And
well, we knew each other a little bit, nodding acquaintances.
Right.
Yeah, so, okay.
And, you know, it brought back a flood of memories that I hadn't even thought of but for decades. And once I got into it, I just got sucked right in, man. Just stuff started coming forward that I hadn't thought about, and I do enjoy sharing this mostly because, you know, as co-founder of the museum, opening a museum in 1990, I had met all kinds of Dutch hunters that came through the museums because they wanted to see this fantastic collection of maps we got up there. Mm-hmm. And I've heard all their stories, and these folks are dying off. My best friend, Tom Collimore's gone.
And he was like, along with Clay, he was like the
there you go.
most noted authority.
There's just not many left, and even though I don't consider all of my stories all that important, you know, once I got started, I thought, well, you know, this ought to be down where people can see this kind of thing, and that's why I'm doing it.
I think, to me, there is enough history in the area that you don't have to go on and make something up.
Yeah.
A storyline. And that's basically all I can say about that is there are people that come up here trying to make things out of the mountain. It's not. What it is very important and very mysterious on its own. Mm-hmm. You do not have to make anything up.
No.
And I think what we're doing is we report, you decide. It's, you know, people sometimes take offense to something that's on the show. Well, 95% of the time, we didn't say it. It's the opinion of a guest. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's like they say, the views expressed are those of the guests and not necessarily those of who are the MCs on the show. Although sometimes we do agree with them, sometimes we don't, but we're not going to say. We let them present their story. We have had people on, noted authorities, who have told basically the same story, but have either added things or what have you, altered the story a bit to what they've been told. And that's what makes it so fascinating. That's what makes all this stuff up there mysterious and a legend, is we don't know exactly what happened. There are certain things we know. The Dutchman, or not really Dutch, he was German, Jacob Waltz. And I talked to somebody from Germany who was born not too far from where he was born. Mm-hmm. Of course, not at the same time. and I said, do they know about Jacob Waltz there? And she goes, no. No, they don't. But she does, because she loves Westerns and she comes out here. And I said, well, so what, in your opinion, was his actual name? Because we've been told Waltz, Walls, Walzer, even sometimes Walsh. Very few, but sometimes. And she said that she believes that it was Walzer. That's what she believes. And I'm just telling you, she's from that area. So, we take it with for what it's worth. That's not my opinion. That is somebody else's opinion. But it's always interesting, because I've done some genealogical searches on Jacob Waltz. And there are several of them. It's like Smith, mm-hmm. Jones. It's like, Brown. It's like, not LeSueur though. But it is, like those names and over there. And I found one in the location where he was born that fits the description, the date, the year, and the date he died. The only thing about it is that this was back in some place like Minnesota that he passed away. So, unless he did some sort of a magic trick, that wasn't the right one. But it is just fascinating to share these things. And like you said, the people are passing on, and we need to get as much information as we can. Now, there's still some information, and we will agree on this and say no more about it. There's some information we can't share.
Right.
And I think that's what people like about us and trust us, such as Clay or Bob Schuss, the mayor of Goldfield, or Ron. Who am I missing? Jack San Felice, yourself, that we just don't share. It's just something. Well, some people have threatened us. I don't know if they have you, but they have me. But we wouldn't share anyway. There are just some things you don't share, and we're not going to.
It's things they don't want shared.
Exactly, and that's why we can get people of your ilk to do this show, and Clay to do this show, is because I think they trust us. I think they know that we are not going to do anything that's a no-no.
Clay knew very well I wasn't going to go to certain places when we interviewed him.
Mm-hmm. And that's obvious that he, because of you, and chances are we would have never been able to talk to him if it wasn't for you. To me, that's a given. But he did open up and he told us some things, and occasionally some things with these people are slipped out, and we don't put them in. We know what to leave out, and Dave is very good at doing that, and Jane, they're very good at they don't want that in, I'm sure, so it's taken out. But they are very cautious, and we are very cautious that we only go so far and then we pull back.
There are stories I won't tell now because people are still alive that know about this, and their families and stuff, and I would love to tell a couple of stories, but I can't mention any names.
Can't mention any names. Maybe we can get to the story sometime and not mention names, but if it offends somebody, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
People say, well, do you know where this is? And do you know where that is? Well, maybe I do. Maybe I don't. But the thing is, I'm not telling you. And of course, the biggest thing is, and please respect that when I say that. And the two biggest questions are, has the mine been found? If it has, we don't know about it. There's so many people that have claimed to have found it. We don't know what's true and what's not. Chances are, if it is up there, it's been covered, either by the Ranger Service or by somebody else. And the other thing is, do you know where it's at? And my pat answer is, as a lot of people will say, well, yeah, but if I told you, I'd have to kill you, you know, that type of thing. No, we are just as surprised a lot of times what we find out as the viewers, because basically what they're seeing is live on tape. What we present them is something that we might get the scoop on at that moment that we weren't intending to get. So this is why we do it. We love it. We love it. It's been a passion for both of us. You've done a lot more with it because of the helping to co-creator of the Superstition Mountain Museum. I mean, you need to go out there and see the stamp mill that you have. You tore it down and rebuilt it, what, 3 times? Twice? But you and just somebody else,
yeah,
right?
Hank Brown.
Yeah. And this new one, I have to tout the new one of putting Apache land, what's left of it, there at the museum. You did a smashing job, Dave. The pictures you put on there were remarkable, things I've never seen, and really interesting footage. And Hank wants to come back on. He says, I've got more to talk about at the fires, so we'll have Hank back on, let him talk about the fires. So there you have it. We just love it, and hopefully you love to watch it as we present it.